Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Aitken, and on this show each week we're looking for a particular element of a race that might determine the outcome. Well, on Sunday we have the traditional dress rehearsal races for the internationals next month. The Jockey Club Sprint, the Jockey Club Mile and the Jockey Club Cup. And the first race I'm going to look at this week is race 7, the Jockey Club Cup, over 2,000 metres. The winning factor here is the pattern. Now we look down the field here, these are our top middle distance gallopers, and of course there's the quirky Pakistan Star, a nice up and comer and Glorious Forever, and the horses that fought this very race out last year, Time Warp and Werther, and that's where we're going to put our attention. Now first we're going to recap what happened in last year's edition of the Jockey Club Cup, and this was a race that was run in very fast sectionals in the middle stages. The outsider Harbour Master bolted on the field, set up a very fast pace mid-race, and he softened up Time Warp in the run and also forced Tommy Berry to make a long run on Werther. Now over the final stages, Werther was able to get the better of Time Warp, who wobbled around a little bit as he tired. Werther was able to win the event. Now that victory was the start of quite an interesting rivalry between the two horses, but it was also the continuation of a pattern for Werther since he moved to Hong Kong under John Moore's training. If we look at what he's done in the past, Werther, he's now 4 attempts second up for 2 wins and 2 close seconds. And one of the interesting things that we can do studying form is look at patterns with trainers. They tend to redo the same successful patterns over and over again. So if you look down here, each time Werther's been first up, he's been in a mile race. He's had a very similar break on most occasions before he's barrier trialled, and then 12 days into his next race. Now the exceptions to that rule were his first campaign when he was getting ready for the 4-year-old races, so he went straight into the Classic Mile, and his most recent when he had to go to Japan for the Takarazuka Kinnan, and there wasn't a trial in between his lead-up race and his second-up run. But as you can see, it's been a successful recipe. Now Werther's getting a little bit older now, and John Moore did intend to give him a first-up run over 1,400 metres on National Day, but a slight setback stopped that being possible. So instead, he's back to the same pattern again, a mile, then into 2,000 metres second up. And as we'll see in his first up run here over the mile in the Sha Tin Trophy, it was pretty similar to what he's done in the past. On this occasion, the race won comfortably by Beauty Generation, but we see Werther in the yellow colours. He's 3 wide with some cover in midfield, and then he looms up in the straight at about the 300 metres like he's going to make a race of it, and then his fitness gives out over the concluding stages and he finishes 7th, but it was a solid run, the kind of run that we've seen from him before first up. So we know from the past pattern that Werther is going to improve quite a bit from that run. And if we look back at the same race 12 months ago, Time Warp was receiving £5 off Werther because at that time he wasn't a Group 1 winner. And now, because Werther hasn't won a Group 1 himself for the past 12 months, he's now getting £5 off Time Warp. So that's a £10 turnaround in favour of Werther at the weights, and that's quite significant. Now you might argue that between then and now, Werther has also had a bleeding attack, but I think when we look at his run in Japan in June in the Takarazuka Kinnan, we can see that he hasn't lost anything in talent in that time. His run in Japan was excellent from a wide gate. Had he drawn better, I think he certainly would have won this Group 1 event, and then they'd be on level terms here. He closes to finish only a neck from the winner there in Japan. So the tip in race 7, the Jockey Club Cup, is Werther. His winning factor, the pattern. He's doing just what he's done in the past, a decent run in a mile, up into a very good effort second up at 2,000 metres, and in addition he's getting that good weight turnaround on one of his major rivals. So he's the horse to beat in the Jockey Club Mile. The second race we're going to look at this week is race 9. This is a 1,200 metre class 2, and the winning factor here is the distance. Now we look down the field and it's quite a handy bunch of sprinters, some of them specialist 1,200 metre horses, but the ones we're going to look most closely at are 2 horses dropping back in distance from 1400 metres to 1200 metres, and I think in both cases that distance change is going to help. First of all, New Asia Sunrise. He's backing up 8 days after returning from quite a lengthy break, and he ran over 1400 metres last week in the Panasonic Cup when he was a solid run at long odds in the Class 1 event. You see him here, the big baldy face, he's box seated to the home turn, and he runs a great race actually to the 200 metres where his fitness gives out and he drops out of the race. Now, New Asia Sunrise is in uncharted territory, backing up 8 days later. He hasn't done that before, but a lot of trainers do like to use a run over a longer distance to get a horse fit and then drop them back in trip. So he has that working in his favour, and 1200 metres is more suitable. He's had 11 starts at 1200 metres for 4 wins and 4 seconds. So there are pluses there for New Asia Sunrise, who's also down in grade. For Raging Storm, I think the drop back in distance is just as important, maybe even more so, but for a different reason. Now we're going to have a look here at the day that he won over 1400 metres, and this goes back to last season. And even here, as he was going through the ranks, this is in Class 4, he was pretty soft over the final stages and out of gas as he went to the line, giving rise to the idea that maybe 1400 metres isn't his pet trip. That win was back in the days when Raging Storm was seen as a bit of an untapped rising talent. Now, he's been a bit disappointing since then. However, I thought there was quite a bit to look at and like in his latest effort, also over 1400 metres. This run was much better than it looked. If you look at our heat map here, it was quite a strong sectional, section from the 1200 metres to the 800 metres as he went forward to lead here, Raging Storm. But he took a good hold of the bit at that stage, and Sylvester de Souza was doing well just to hold him down to a reasonable speed for his next 400 metres. Fighting the rider like that, he gets very tired in the home straight and weakens out of contention, but he did hold on for a decent sort of fifth in the end. And once again, it looks like 1400 metres too far for him. He just gets too fired up. On Sunday, Raging Storm drops back to 1200 metres, so let's have a reminder of how he can go over that distance. He's much stronger at the finish. We have to go back to May, his last win in a race in fact, a Class 3 over 1200 metres, and this time ridden by Joe Moreira. On this occasion, Raging Storm joins in at the 250 metres, and he's very strong to the line, a complete contrast with how he hits the line over 1400 metres. As I said, Raging Storm was ridden in that win by Joe Moreira. Joe has won 3 out of 5 on the horse, and we have him back in town this weekend with quite a few rides for John Size, and now we're going to look at what a great combination they've been in the 5 years that Joe Moreira did ride in Hong Kong. As we look down the list since 2013, quite a number of wins between the two of them, and a strike rate which averages out at around 1 in 4, which is pretty exceptional in the Hong Kong regime. So the tip in race 9 is Raging Storm. His winning factor, the distance. A drop back from 1400 metres to a far more suitable 1200 metres, and as a plus, he gets his favourite jockey back again, the magic man, Joe Moreira. Well, that's it for the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. Catch you next time.